Welcome back to the 2020 Spring Playoffs, where Evil Geniuses just took the first win of the postseason. They did it over FlyQuest. But gentlemen, as we recap that first game of the day, yes, game time-wise, relatively quick for Evil Geniuses. But when we actually take a look at the game itself, it didn't come necessarily all that easy. A couple punches thrown back and forth by both squads in this one. Probably first take on our first game of the series.
Yeah, we were sitting here going like, oh, this is FlyQuest's first win. This is going to be the 3-1 for FlyQuest, you know? And then they killed Jiizuke again. I was like, all right, they're punishing Jiizuke, great. And then they walked to Baron, and the game no longer was in FlyQuest's hands.
Yeah, a little bit of a toss back the other direction in that moment.
Yeah, it's one of those weird games when you're looking at a 5-game series where you're like, okay, on the one hand, FlyQuest looked great. If they can repeat that early game, just not make that boneheaded play, they could actually win this series. Like that was a really good start to the game. But at the same time, you look at it from EG's perspective, and they're like, are you expecting to lose all those early games like that? And like they're clearly maybe a better team with mid to late game shot calling. So I could go either way still on this series because that first game didn't actually tell me something super new.
Kobe, what in particular jumped out to you from game one?
FlyQuest got first blood, first dragon, and first Rift Herald. So you look at the objectives going the check marks down, and you think, oh my god, such a good opening for them. But what they gave up in the process is with Viper teleporting down to the bottom side, Kumo gets 2 plates plus a bunch of CS, and then after the Rift Herald,
Tumo plates.
He gets
Tumo.
He gets Tumo in the Rift Herald play.
He gets Tumo plates
because they also killed Viper at the Rift Herald play. So with all these early wins for FlyQuest, Kumo, the least likely of stars for EG, is actually the one that gets to shine.
Yeah. How many plates did Kumo get?
Tumo.
He got Tumo. He got Tumo
I think
plates.
he got five
the other side. Yeah, he actually did get a ton, and we did see quite a lead built individually, as you mentioned, Kobe, because of some of those global and macro plays that FlyQuest was making. And then probably I'll return to your point earlier about some of those kills located onto Jiizuke for the FlyQuest side. Again, they continued to kind of benefit from the side lane there, and honestly, some big plays by Viper, a guy that we had question marks on. You know, why he was being brought back in here after some solid play from solo. Yes, his scoreline didn't look fabulous here, but I would argue he actually looked to put up a solid performance in a loss here game.
Yeah, I was really happy. The early TP bot, I'm sure a lot of it was credit to IgNar for probably calling like, hey, let's gank bot, I have a TP ward. But Viper still pulling the trigger was pretty impressive. And then about 10-15 minutes in the game, Evil Geniuses swap Jiizuke and Kumo and actually have Jiizuke top lane against the Aatrox. And this was at a point where Aatrox wasn't really that strong yet. He had ninja tabbies and stuff like that. So Jiizuke was poised to actually take the top turret, but made a mistake when his phase shift was down, and Aatrox was actually able to get the kill. So that was a big one where Viper's actually able to punish Jiizuke. And that was one of the moments where he could have easily just sat under turret and slowly lost it, but he took that all-in chance, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And on the other side, Jiizuke died a lot this game, which scared me because, yeah, he's been playing really well. And he was the reason why, or he was a big reason why EG was having so many struggles early in the split. So I'm curious what form EG is actually going to be in for the series.
But what's different to me from early in the split is that they won a game with Jiizuke not having a big impact or even having a negative impact in a lot of ways, which shows that they are more than just the Jiizuke and Friends show. Hold on here. You don't walk on my keyboard. Yeah, like this is a great game for them to show that like, hey, Bang can pop off. Kumo had a lot of really nice engages. And like when Jiizuke dies 3 times in side lanes and ISO deaths, like we can still win.
I want to get in here on this Jiizuke point though, because Jiizuke did die. But the difference from the beginning of this season is that the team is getting something done while he's dying, for him dying. So I do not think it's anywhere close to a negative impact. I think it was very much positive, and he even escapes one of the times where they send multiple people at him topside to stop his split pushing. It is kind of an accepted risk, an accepted tragedy if your split pusher does die like that. When you get 2 towers for the whole other team chasing him and spending cooldowns to get that kill, that is still a successful split push that just comes with EG being our team that plays the map the most.
We're going to get into the weeds here if we go back and forth too much. All I'll say is he should have died in that one that he got out. Santorin misplayed it. And two, they were losing the game pretty significantly before the Baron throw, in my opinion. So, like, I do agree that it's not like he was just, like, dying on his own in the middle of nowhere. But it was still, I would say, a lower level performance than we've seen out of him in recent weeks.
All right, fair enough. We'll see what he can bring out here in game 2. Jumping back to the top lane just briefly, one more moment. While we talked a lot about the FlyQuest side of things, I do again want to touch on Kumo because beginning of the split, when looking at EG and when people were power ranking EG, he was the big question mark. He was the one that people were calling out as, if I see this team failing anywhere on the map, that's where they're going to fail, and it might, spread into the other lanes. Thoughts on him, game 1, how he's done so far here in the postseason?
So I actually have a stat. The lowest kill participation for any top laner is Kumo. This in itself is not a negative stat, but is just indicative of a play style. And Evil Geniuses, they had him not teleport down to the first blood play, in which he stayed top by himself, got 2 turret plates. Then got 2 Mo turret plates after the Rift Herald play, as you lovingly alluded to earlier. And I just think that he did a lot with what he was able to get out of this early game, which was the only kind of early advantage that EG had.
Well, Kumo needs 2 Mo wins to move on to the next round of the playoffs. So probably tell me how EG does it from this situation. What would you like to see them clean up from their game 1 to make sure they can lock this series up?
Well, I hope they aren't listening to the broadcast and the 2 Mo jokes, because I think that'll distract them too much. But I think what they're doing in draft is pretty good. I do like the Sett Kalista that they're taking early on. I think it's pretty powerful. However, they're going to be on red side this next game, so I think I'm curious to see what their red side draft is, because it looks like blue side, they have a lot of good ideas. They're banning out the Rakan, they're banning out the Syndra. So I like what they're doing on draft on blue side. Curious what red side's going to be. But for them, I think I want to see Jiizuke back, because we hyped him up so much because he's been playing so well. So I do want to see Jiizuke have one of those performances again. And I'm glad to see Bang is still, he's flashing in the last team fight, and he's like a big performer for them.
Now, Mark, we said for FlyQuest, it was a solid early game and it slipped through their fingers. So what do they need to shift around here heading?
Yeah, you talked about good early planning, probably was saying for EG on blue side. I actually thought they had a great idea on red side. They left the Rise up on purpose to play the Azir into it, and they picked things that could attack in the side lane like the Pantheon. I think that's overall the right strategy, and I would like to see it done again with just cleaning up some of their mid to late game stuff. I actually really liked what I saw out of FlyQuest in both the draft and through the first 20-ish minutes of the game.
Well, there you have it. 1-0 stands the series score currently with EG out to the lead. They need 2 more to lock it up. We're going to step away. When we return, we got game 2, Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest coming at you. We'll see you here for Champ Select after the break.
Houston? The brightness is increasing. There it is. Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Cars like this don't come around often. The redesigned Type R. The most powerful Civic ever from Honda.
Yeah, I'm married. Does it matter? You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Expecting you. And I brought you a gift so you can fight properly. Red Bull.
Oh,
How nice
of you.
but also
Rather.
stupid.
Mine.
Mine!
No, mine!
No, mine!
Mine. Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back, everyone. Game 2 is about to begin between Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest. If you missed Game 1, it was a treat of a game. FlyQuest had a great early game, and then an oopsie of a Baron throw gave EG a lot of pressure, and then a very climactic final fight got them that win.
The final fight was so exciting, but that is a game that FlyQuest are really going to want back. It felt like they were making a lot of correct moves through the mid game. They'd been playing very well. They had gotten themselves to an advantage, and then they overextended trying to get that Baron. They felt like they had this small edge that they could use to blow the whole game open, and ended up blowing it open, but the other way. They ended up kind of throwing the game off of that, unfortunately. I do think, though, for FlyQuest, it shouldn't be all panic, right? They made a mistake. Largely, the game did hinge on that one error, on that one decision. So I think FlyQuest, if they can stabilize, if they can calm themselves coming into this game, they still should have a pretty good shot.
All right, we are into this one. Of course, FlyQuest choosing blue side as they are the team that lost Game 1. New playoff format, also some slightly new side selection rules. High seed picks Game 1, and the loser of the previous game gets to pick side selection for the next. So, for example, if FlyQuest also loses Game 2, they still get side selection for Game 3. New change for this year, gonna happen worldwide as well. Now, LeBlanc, Tahm Kench, Kalista all off the table. I think FlyQuest will continue to ban LeBlanc in the first phase of bans every single time. This time, though, getting rid of Banks' Kalista is a new one.
He played really well on the Kalista last game and was kind of a dominant carry force around that Baron fight and also in that climactic final team fight. Bang was huge, so it makes a lot of sense, I think, to take that away. But we also got to know that with EG on red side, FlyQuest have chosen blue, but you're giving counterpick over to Jiizuke, and that can be very dangerous because this is a flexible player here. This is a guy who can look to actually take advantage of you in the draft. But it will be an early set pick here for FlyQuest. Aphelios quickly locked in for EG, so going to be interested to see if this is just kind of a standard top laner for Viper, or if FlyQuest is going to be looking to do anything flexible, if they're going to be looking to move that set around whatsoever.
Yeah, it looked like EG trying to set up a top lane pinch, right? They banned the Aatrox at the very end to say, hey, if we get Sett, you don't have a comfortable top laner for the matchup, so which one do you want to go for? Aphelios still very highly prized in pro play kind of worldwide. FlyQuest immediately go for the Vestayan trio. I'm assuming there's the Rakan, yep, locked in as well. So this is a great top side. Like, it's a great front line. You have great engage, and you have absolutely wonderful backline damage output as well. So I like this trio a lot.
Should be Ornn top for Kumo. Yes, it can be flexed. We saw it earlier today in LEC mid lane, but I am expecting this to be the top laner. Kumo should be fairly comfortable into the set. It is a disadvantageous matchup, but like most melee matchups, Ornn can farm just fine. It can be rough if your opponent wants to build purely for that 1v1 though. Blade of the Rune King Sett fights very, very favorably into the Ornn in that 1v1 scenario, but it's Ornn's job to kind of just sit back, absorb that, try to farm it out, and prepare for a team fight stage where you've already set yourself up with very consistent, very reliable engage between Nautilus and Ornn. On the other side, yes, it is very explosive engage coming out from the Rakan, but Rakan is also more fragile. So when you are diving in there, if you get locked down by someone like the Nautilus, you can get turned around on and burst out.
Yeah, especially with the extra crowd control the squad has. Every single person on EG has at least a root so far in their kit. That's going to be something to be concerned about if you can't get away, because you can't once you're rooted in place. So something to watch for there. Olaf's going to get dropped into the ban table. Zoe again banned away here as FlyQuest continue to get rid of Zoe on the against EG here in the second round of bans. But as you mentioned, counterpick is available, and we've seen him play all kinds of exciting, spicy things. I know you were talking about Echo into Syndra as an option, but of course EG are chain banning the Syndra. You're seeing Olaf and Trundle now join the ban pool. Makes me wonder if we're going to see a third tank picked up here, as EG might just grab themselves a Sejuani.
I think the Trundle ban is really smart here, especially when there's already Ornn and Nautilus to actually steal those stats from with the ultimate. Trundle will be an obvious jungle pick there for Santorin. You know, even if they don't want to pick a tank themselves, I think just banning that away to deny the pick to weaken Ornn in the team fighting stage makes a lot of sense. They're going to be going with Gragas. This is going to give them a bit of AP damage as well as more powerful engage. You know, really there is so many go buttons now. I do think that we're going to have to see a high consistent damage style mid laner though coming out of EG to go alongside this, because right now there is some burst from this three-man squad, but mostly it is on Aphelios to get that consistent damage done. And FlyQuest here, if they are going to go with the Azir, that is the lock-in. Now, there are a number of options here that we could see Jiizuke going towards. I do think Victor can work if he wants to be able to go to a side lane later on and play that type of style. You can farm out pretty evenly against the Azir, and also you are a high DPS style of mage in that later stages. There are assassins and kind of more aggressive picks if you really want to go at it for the 1v1, but I do think that then you run the risk of not having enough damage come team fight time.
Yeah, I'm looking at his sort of lifetime most played champions like LeBlanc, Taliyah, Echo, Zoe, Ryze, Galio, Azir. Then Orianna is the first sort of in-meta teamfight mage who I think has the consistent damage output, and it's way down the list. Ooh. So they're hovering onto an Ezreal. It's going to be locked in.
Ezreal
so
mid.
Some flexibility here.
Let's go, Ezreal. This is actually really, really crazy. I'm expecting it to just be an AD style build, which does make your damage profile fairly one-dimensional. Yes, there is some magic damage coming through from Gragas and whatnot, but there's not so many tanks over on FlyQuest that's necessarily going to be an issue. It's possible it could be AP. I can't say I've seen AP Ezreal mid in a really long time. So this is really interesting. This is definitely a pick that he has prepared for playoffs specifically. I can't even remember the last time I saw Ezreal mid in competitive play. I mean, the last time it was popular was back with like Runeglaive, right? When you went the jungle item in the mid lane, which was what, 2-3 years ago, something like that. So really interested
Quite
to
a
see
while.
how well he can actually, play this out. Obviously, there is the ability to try to actually trade from range and to poke away at the Azir. If the Azir uses his Q forward, you can shift in past those soldiers and look for an aggressive trade back onto PowerOfEvil. So PowerOfEvil is really going to have to be careful about how he uses his cooldowns in this matchup.
Yep, well, Jiizuke's on Conqueror, so I'm expecting AD Ezreal to be the pickup here. I double-checked. There are no lifetime games for Jiizuke in pro play on Ezreal. This is very, very first. And you said, hey, what kind of economics does this guy have? His champ pool is very large. Well, first time in pro, Ezreal mid comes through. We're expecting to be AD. We have seen things like Kennen go Doran's Blade into AP later, but really expecting AD Ezreal here. And Jiizuke's going to show us something fun.
I'm really excited. So he did sell the call. He decided, no, he's not going to go that crazy. He is going to stick with the Doran's Blade. More tried and true here. This is going to be really, really interesting. I'm going to kind of be learning alongside the viewers here, as this is not something I have really been seeing at all. Would be interested to know.
It's not spiking in solo queue or anything either.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just Jiizuke said, this is a champ I want to do. I'm going to go for.
It's honestly, it makes me think of Boy Boy. I know Boy Boy plays some Ezreal mid. I remember seeing him play that in Twitch Rivals and some things like that. So no idea if he's taking a page out of his book, but perhaps the kid making his return in spirit form, inspiring Jiizuke.
Yep, absolutely. Like, it's fun, like, being at my computer at home, because I can look up, like, okay, what are some good, like, stats checking about something to look for? So I'm like, hey, show me some Ezreal pro builds, and there's just nothing in mid.
Yep.
Like, across solo queue, I haven't seen any games from anyone that's not an AD carry playing it as an AD carry. So, hey, good on Jiizuke. I want to see if it's good. Good luck on you. This doesn't seem like his type of pick, by the way, right? It's not a dedicated split pusher. The wave from that champion is not phenomenal. It is team fight damage output and poke. It also does put EG fairly physical heavy. Now, Ezreal is a bit mixed overall. He's, a good 30%-ish magic from the W, E, and R, all being reasonably meaningful sources of damage output, but it really does mean that Santorin and IgNar and Viper can all pretty easily stack armor.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of tabbies on a number of these members. You can see full tank with armor stacking from Santorin. You can see easily things like, there's a little engage happening on the bot side.
First to 2, that's the big thing, right? Is you need to back up before the third melee minion dies, where it's level 2. It doesn't mean that much damage. The follow-through is not super huge, but it is still a couple hundred damage dealt, and it forces the potion off of WildTurtle.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing there, getting that potion out. But yeah, I mean, on Sett, you can very easily do things like Bramble and Tappies, and then go into kind of more core items. Those types of builds work very, very well. So I'm going to be interested to see if it does force that out, or if Viper is still going to want to build more for that 1v1. Because if he is just going Blade of the Rune King Sett, that type of build still, if you show up to team fight against double marksman, you are going to be very, very susceptible to getting focused down.
Well, in the very early game, Jiizuke gets a 2 CS lead off of the first 3 waves, 17-15 as those all drop down. Kumo gets a knockup, gets a grass proc, does some decent damage, but as we kind of expect, Viper has the early push lead. And Ornn is a magic damage heavy champion, and honestly, because of his % health damage scaling, can threaten champions sometimes, so maybe Viper won't quite be allowed to armor stack. I'm not sure. I don't know if I expect him to go Merc Treads, but it would certainly help the matchup, though it might not be great for the overall game state. We'll have to see what kind of choice he makes there. As a fight towards the top side, Svenskeren gets over the wall and goes, wait a second. Oh, he gets the smite! Gets the smite, and Santorin walks away, getting almost nothing from the camp despite doing all the work.
That was probably 10 HP or less. It was so low, and Santorin didn't actually have his smite available, so that's pretty annoying. Svenskeren slides in, does take that away, and we'll be able to retreat to his Krug so he can farm that up. But yeah, I mean, if Viper wants to build for the 1v1, he can go Bork and Merc Treads and these types of things and Triforce and just try to go purely for that. But if he wants to act like a pseudo tank, you can go the more kind of tanky builds with some early armor and Sterix and these types of things, and just try to beef up to allow freedom for PowerOfEvil and WildTurtle to get damage done in team fights, because there's a lot of damage already between the Azir and the Xayah, and it's also mixed damage profile, right? You have pretty much pure magic from the Azir, pretty much pure physical from the Xayah, so things can be looking very nice as far as that does go.
Yeah.
Also got to keep in mind, how good the engage is for these squads, right? J4 plus Rakan, very solid engage, and even stronger engage, honestly, over on the side of EG between Ornn, Gragas, and Nautilus. You can pretty much start a fight whenever you want.
All right, watch for the engages then. Yeah, I know it can be annoying to have to be the first engage as Ornn, but as follow-up, he's absolutely phenomenal, and you've got a Gragas or Nautilus to make that happen. So, does look like EG's comp can definitely execute pretty well. Fighting over the top side right now. Big punches, a lot of damage. Kumo has to burn his E to escape at this point. I think we're going to see TP out of the top laner as Viper doing pretty comfortably up at the top side. Has a very big CS lead. And actually, yeah, Kumo's healthy enough, it looks like, with just enough here. Fit his Bramble Vest and should be able to wave clear, but got pretty low off that fight.
It was a bit of a silly trade, to be honest. Maybe he's trying to threaten that, hey, the jungler could be up here, I'm fighting aggressively, you gotta watch out type thing. But, taking those trades, it's so easy for Sett to win out on, as long as he's able to actually get a decent haymaker off. It almost is never going to go in your favor. You pretty much have to take a quick trade where you proc the brittle and then immediately run away, because any sort of extended trade will just go more and more in the favor of the Sett when you're playing Ornn.
I also want to point out something pretty important here. Bang had to take a really unfortunate recall. We talked last week about you really want to have, that 40-ish CS at 5 minutes and change so you can make the BF sword recall. He was forced back, though, lost the entire wave under his turret. WildTurtle gets BF sword. Bang only gets the pickaxe there, and they're going to come back to lane with equal CS, but 15 more attack damage on Turtle should mean some lane control for the Xayah Rakan.
That's going to be feeling really good for them, having that better recall, as Santorin and Svenskeren going to see each other here. You can see Jiizuke threatening to move over. Jiizuke does also have the ultimate to join in if there's any sort of gank that happens in that bot lane or any types of fights like that. So something that they'll have to watch out for a little bit is that kind of global presence of the Ezreal, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, and with enough lockdown, like that True Shot Barrage, yeah, it's easy to miss, but if they're stunned for 4 seconds, maybe you land that one a bit more, and that's a nice 300 damage of the top that can help find you lethal. Something to watch for. Santorin gets the second red buff spawn without much issue, and we'll wait to see if the Drake gets attacked before too terribly long. We're 1 minute away from Rift Herald coming up. And again, I'm expecting FlyQuest to have control over bottom lane. I mean, Bang doesn't have great recalls here. Like, he can pick up boots or something, realistically, but, he's doing the Infinity Edge build. It's not like you can stack a couple of long swords and feel good about that. So, yeah, boots and a dagger gets a ward. Like, it does close the gap somewhat. The item deficit now is arguably the items are stat-wise stronger for Bang, but Turtle should still have some lane control, should be able to shove in bot. And realistically, is losing a few seconds. He's a little bit late to shoving that wave in, but doesn't really matter. It'll deny, a couple of farm from Kumo, but as we mentioned, 8-minute Rift Herald is going to be on the map, and Bang is recalling to make sure he can be there for it.
So that's going to be the response, right? Just make the move earlier, buy as much as you can to be as strong as you can. But yeah, I mean, if you can't get the BF early, it can be pretty difficult to actually save up to wards. It's a very, very expensive item. Zeyzal is just going to help push this in. This is less about the gank and more just about resetting that wave so that they can actually move up and start this Rift Herald. And Jiizuke does have TP. They have their top laner, Kumo, down in the bottom lane where he can actually be pushing out this wave. And if a fight breaks out, he can still join with TP. So EG do want to play this a little bit slow, force FlyQuest to be the ones to make the move because Kumo is already in a good position. I would honestly like to see Kumo just push in another wave and force EG to be getting an advantage just through the denial of those minions.
Yeah, if he AFK'd it right there, it would simply just push towards him and become a freeze. If he shoves it, obviously they just crash into the turret early. He has a chance of going for plates if he has demolished, things like this. And yeah, absolutely no one is bot lane. That entire wave, in fact, it's 2 waves right now, crashing into the bot lane turret that Viper is not getting. This turret's going to watch Santorin, make him not going to do too much there. They are doing damage to the Rift Herald. The rest of the squad is showing up. Jiizuke right now is on a recall. He has burned his ultimate, but he does have TP if he is needed.
Oh, this can reset.
Now Shelly runs out of patience. Here comes the double teleport in. Will this be a fight that they can make? Can they get damage here? As they look for the knockup, they don't quite find it, but the double knockup on the backside there, IgNar and Santorin are split up. And Jarvan is running low on health. One more attack will do it. First blood comes through. A huge chunk comes through for Viper. And that means Zeyzal drops now as well. 4v4 as Viper's in the front line. IgNar flashes in, finds a knock up there. The charm as well, the punch into Santorin. And IgNar claims that kill. Supports are getting all the kills in right now as Turtle is running for dear life, and Kumo claps him at the very back of this one, but he's stuck inside the pit, and Viper gets his own kill. 3-2 on the scoreboard for FlyQuest. As Bang has corralled them, though, with the turret up there. These health bars are very, very low. Shelly is helping. It's a 3-on-3 because the damage is coming across, and Viper is 2 autos from dead. But Jiizuke cannot run away. PoE needs one more auto attack. One more auto attack past that one. He's trying to get away, but Santorin is here, and the kill comes through. Bang answered one, but Shelly has changed sides and claps down that 5th and final kill for FlyQuest.
FlyQuest coming out way on top on this. It was a nice initial move towards the rift for EG, but can Zeyzal get back in time? He can, but it's going to be too little too late. That one just felt like EG, had it in their hands and actually couldn't hit their abilities. I was watching Jiizuke largely throughout this fight. It just felt like he was straight up missing almost everything. Right, and he just wasn't able to have that successful fight, throughout this really long extended scenario. Kumo also straight up missed his E on the wall, wasn't able to actually connect with that, then gets knocked up, misses the redirect on his ultimate, so he doesn't have the time there. And Jiizuke was over on the side, trying to poke away, wasn't really getting many auto attacks in, wasn't really getting much of anything done, as PowerOfEvil was honestly pretty consistently getting damage out, it felt like, through most of this fight. And EG at this position felt like, hey, you kind of have them corralled, the turret can be placed by Bang to actually drop in on top of them and maybe they can get something done, but then Jiizuke not able to actually sidestep the Haymaker here, gets clipped with this, taking a lot of damage. PowerOfEvil poking away at him, and Jiizuke gets low enough there that then FlyQuest can fight their way out of that pit and really turn this around. But that is one I think that EG, it's a fight they maybe should have taken. It's a pretty decent one, but they just mis-executed. The missed knock-up, the misdirection on the ultimate, a lot of kind of lost opportunities for damage, I felt like, from Jiizuke, results in a teamfight loss that still they're ahead in gold, so it's not the end of the world, but that's one where it didn't feel like it was the poor decision. It just felt like poor execution.
Yeah, it puts the Mist and Mystic Shot FlyQuest right now a little bit down in gold, but we expect the Herald Charge. I mean, it's almost lethal on mid-turret right now. Wouldn't quite kill it with no wave there. I think it wouldn't have quite finished the deal, but Santorin is holding the Herald Charge, and pretty soon we expect to see 3 plates in first turret gold go over to FlyQuest, and that would flip the gold right back over. It's almost 1,000 gold for that kind of play, so looking for that one to happen. Again, mid lane shoved in, and 2 autos will knock down that plate. Can't quite go for it, still afraid of being jumped on as EG are collapsing near mid. Also, Viper is alone in top without TP. He is getting solo pressure, and notice answering that turret. That is going to be gold earned, and we can see Santorin coming top side, should easily be able to get 2 autos off, then the charge. Then that's going to be a Cloud Drake picked up, but a very late one. This doesn't look like a game that's going to be going to Elder Soul, or sorry, to Dragon Soul and or Elder Dragon this game, but it does mean a ton of gold goes top side. The 2 primary tanks on FlyQuest share all of the money, and that's going to catapult Viper and Santorin as an armor stacking frontline. It really will.
And the sad part for Kumo is, off of that lane swap, it was actually really intelligent because he got a plate and actually completely caught up in farm. So, he had pulled right back even into that matchup, or even ahead prior to that Rift Herald fight. But not only do they take the Rift Herald, Viper picked up 2 kills, 3 assists in that fight, then gets all that turret gold from the first tower. Jiizuke now in trouble.
A lot of damage coming in. Arcane Shift already down, gets dunked in the way, and that's the rest of it.
Oh, they're gonna get both!
Oh my gosh! What a play! Svenskeren turns it around, ends up being a 2-for-1 to EG. I thought that was perfect, but it wasn't.
Credit to EG. Jiizuke as well, fighting his way out of that. He got the solo kill on Santorin, who felt like he had enough in the tank to be able to actually withstand those turret shots. He did have a stopwatch. I'm not sure if that he just bought that after his death, but we'll have to see one more time as he was able to fight his way out of that, taking down Santorin and then Svenskeren cleaning up PowerOfEvil with some really nice play.
Yeah, if that's a convincing stopwatch, should have been available by that point in time. So you can watch that fight yet again, and they just kind of try to burn the Arcane Shift, right? No shuffle comes in, just trying to force it out.
Yeah, so they do actually force that out. Santorin then goes in. He's tanking up this tower, but Jiizuke lands everything in this one. That final Mystic shot plus the tower shot going through to actually kill him off. Svenskeren coming through, and even if that Mystic shot hadn't actually hit, Svenskeren was throwing his ultimate over towards Santorin to make sure that he did fall down there. So EG ended up going 2 for 1 in what was a FlyQuest initiated play, and we are still sitting dead even in gold despite all the craziness in this one.
Ezreal, you mentioned stopwatch. It was actually a really huge deal. If it was popped, like that turret wouldn't have heated up so much. The only reason PoE even died was it was like a 5-attack turret, which means it was fully charged, dealing double damage to champions every attack because it hit Santorin so long. If you stopwatch that, it doesn't deal double damage to PoE. He gets body slammed once, then walks away unless Sven can get his cooldowns back up for the next wave of it. So really, really meaningful there if he was able to cast that, but. Again, I wasn't sure if he had an inventory. I think he did. I think he had enough assists for the commencing stopwatch to be available. So that seems like a small misplay. I think he thought he had the durability and was just slightly wrong on that one. End of the day, 2 for 1 to EG. Still a very close game. 300 gold lead to FlyQuest. Cloud Drake lead to Evil Geniuses. I would say Ezreal is one of the very best Cloud Drake users. Getting that ulti cooldown faster and then getting the flat cooldown resets off the Q. Really meaningful.
That is a pretty big deal. But I would say, honestly, if I'm trying to kind of score the Ezreal thus far, I'm preferring to have an Azir if this is the kind of situation you're going to be in. Obviously, even just discounting the kills, if you're kind of just farming evenly as this Ezreal into the Azir, I really do prefer having the Azir over on my team, not only because of how well that champion scales, but also because it is mixed damage then, right? Then you have AP coming out of the mid lane, plus the AD coming out of WildTurtle, where Jiizuke is just going to be more physical damage in a largely physical damage team. So I'm a little bit concerned about how that has kind of played out. He wasn't really able to create much of a lane advantage. You may still be able to make it work in those team fights, as obviously the 2-item power spike is always what you're kind of looking towards as Ezreal.
Oh, looking towards Ezreal as the Shurima shuffle and the rest of the squad. No chance for reactions, 3-on-1 kill.
That was clean from FlyQuest. There was actually no way to react, shift, flash, do anything. As Turtle now will flash away.
Good play.
Does get out of there, but that was really clean from FlyQuest. Jiizuke had stuff available to get out, but never had a chance to actually use it. Can't say there was any misplay from him. It didn't feel like. So FlyQuest escape on the bot side, get a kill in the mid lane, and they're going to grab another Herald for themselves here to potentially just knock down this mid turret.
There's one thing I do want to bring up as we're talking about this, and the game is going a bit more FlyQuest favor. We're seeing them now about 1,000 gold up. Is actual armor tracking, because I think we both agree that having only one damage type of real threat, Ezreal, Aphelios, double physical. But the armor bot is a Ninja Tabby, and
Shroud.
This IgNar is going towards he's going towards the Aegis Glacial Shroud, like he's going towards the Zeke's Harbinger, but there is not that much armor stacking yet. So for now, especially with Merc threats coming through the Viper, it is not they don't have that deficiency yet.
Definitely not. It could become a problem later on, but I agree. It's not really an issue at all right now whatsoever. And especially because Viper is going for much more that 1v1 style build. He's not going to be building more tanky for that team fight. It is Blade of the Rune King as Bang with a swing and a miss there on the ultimate, looking to start something up over by this dragon. EG want to continue stacking this. Whether we think it's going to go to Elder and Soul or anything or not, they want to at least have that as a potential win condition. But Kumo right now is still pushing up on that top side. Would have to TP to join. Jiizuke may just be able to finish this tower, though.
Oh, PoE flashes for the play, knocks right back in the air, but Jiizuke can flash to trade that away and not get caught up. And now Kumo is in, finds a knock-up, but Viper is not the easy target. Santorin burns stopwatch, dunk in the backline, but now Viper is isolated. The damage comes in, and Bang is free-firing. 1 for 0 as mid-turret falls with a Herald charge. Not sure that gold was picked up as no one was in range for the extended one. But as PoE puts up his own turret, this fight will stop. Mid lane outer falls, the kill comes through to Evil Geniuses.
Should be EG getting the dragon, because Santorin is actually back in base. They can just rush this. Svenskeren stayed healthy enough that it will be the second dragon going the way of EG. So Kumo TPing in, barely survives. They get the kill. They do end up taking that objective right after it also. And this really is that downside of this build that Viper's going for. I really feel like Blade of the Ruin King is being heavily overvalued on Sett. It is a great item if you want to stay in that side lane and actually just split push and 1v1, but when you show up to a team fight, you're simply not getting enough auto attacks off to really get the same amount of value out of something like the Blade of the Ruin King that you would from Asterix or those more purely tanky items. Right, and this is the issue that so many times when I see in pro people building that Blade of the Ruin King, they're actually not spending their time in the side lane. They're not creating their advantages in the side lane. They're just building side lane items and then going for a team fight where they're then simply less effective.
Yeah, and you can see it definitely hurt him there. I mean, that fight was reasonably close. You saw Kumo limped away with, 3% health left on that bar, and you get a little bit more time for PoE or Turtle to free fire, and that fight maybe does look different, but end of the day, he died really quickly, and then they could turn their attention to the rest of the backline, who was, also pretty squishy here. Items are coming through. We're seeing WildTurtle go towards his Zeal upgrade. I do want to see Infinity Edge come in before too terribly long. It's, I think, the most important power spike to Xayah, and the more you delay it, I think the harder the game can be. But regardless, items are coming through. Santorin's going to claim this top scuttle, no problem.
Bang with a pretty interesting set of items here. So he already had a Zeal, and he just bought another Crit Cloak. So maybe going towards Essence Reaver now, or something like that, or just really valuing that extra crit. But Crit Cloak, since the nerf, to my understanding, is not really that effective on its own as a solitary item. So is pretty surprising to see that that's not just like a Kershi shard or something, but they're looking for PowerOfEvil here.
There is a knockup. PoE's going to walk backwards, explosive casts away, and Kumo almost finds that knockup, but he's going to find a way, PoE, to walk out of this one. That is health bars dropped low, though, and Evil Geniuses with control of the map. They walk into mid lane. No one is here to stop them. A quick turret comes down to slow any attempts of FlyQuest to walk in, quite literally and figuratively. And out they can go with turret number 3 picked up and a gold lead of 1,400.
So Viper sitting in that side lane, they decide not to respond. They're just going to try to knock down towers there, try to extend his gold lead for that side lane split push. But it is Kumo who has actually been able to pick up more farm, I think largely due to better map play for EG. They often are the ones, it feels like, who are better set up previous to these objectives. So Kumo is getting the advantage of picking up more farm, where Viper sometimes just has to run straight to the team to be able to be there in time. FlyQuest now are trying to bait this Baron, and they are going to get a pick potentially on Zeyzal.
Double knockup going to be found. Zeyzal's going to be pretty tanky for a while. Turtle dropped the half HP off True Shot Barrage and not going to land. Bang, not going to get that one as the team is forced to run away, but some of them are stuck on the other side of the wall. Knockup into a clap and over the wall. Viper barely stays alive with a dunk that gets him to safety. Svenskeren's going to get dropped here, so it's a 1-for-1, but what about the re-engage? Look at how low the health bar is in WildTurtle. Can they find a single spell that would slow him down? Nice Wolf gets away from the knockup, just maybe, but it's not going to be enough. Kumo finds that kill credit. It's 2-1 so far, and IgNar has to flash to get back as well. Even Genesis yet again win a team fight.
Again, it goes bad at the bear, and for FlyQuest, this time they weren't even starting it up. They were just trying to bait. But just like last game, they go to that bear and bad things seem to happen here. As Jiizuke had a very, very strong point in the game. He has those 2 items. Kumo in this fight was great. Found a lot of knockups. Was able to actually get around and finish off Turtle also. And Jiizuke, insult to injury, should be able to just
You can auto it, buddy.
Yeah, just auto that turret. It's 1 HP. Get it. You can do it.
Yay! All right, he's fine. He's fine. He's healed back up anyway. It's not like it really mattered. It is always funny. Like, 1 in 100 games to see someone like run away from a turret that'll kill them, and it's like, no, you just kill the turret first, and you actually get away. Sometimes, I understand. Whatever. He's all right. No big deal. But Viper gonna go ahead and clear up bot lane, and we're fine. It's EG 4-3 in turrets, 8-8 in kills, but 2,500 gold ahead. It is farm primarily getting them this big lead.
It really is. They've been doing a good job picking up a lot of this farm. Svenskeren in particular has quite a lot of farm on this Gragas, and he is really the kind of pure magic damage threat that they do have. Zeyzal obviously building full tank. Ornn, yes, does some, but it is mostly going to be about that threat of burst from Svenskeren, so it's nice that he has quite a bit of farm to his name, sitting on the 2 completed items plus those boots ready to go. IgNar, though, is actually looking to threaten a flank. So he's sitting on a pink ward right now. He actually just stepped onto the Scuttle Crab, though. And you can see the question mark pings coming out. So they actually know that IgNar is there. I'm not sure if he realized, but that fully reveals you when you do actually step onto that edge, even at that brush.
Well, that's going to be a knockup, though. It's good damage to Santorin. He's going to go right back in for the dunk, trying to look for Kumo, who's just going to stay inside that pit because there isn't damage to kill him. But drops to about 2k, so 1/3 of the health bar is gone. Zeyzal going to find the opener towards IgNar. He's able to jump back towards Viper, who wants in. Big dunk. Finds a lot of damage. This re-engage could look good. Viper tanky. Look at that punch. Bang almost can't fight, but his ulti lands. And the follow-through should be enough. Look at that triple picked up already. And that is an easy team fight win for EG. Nothing else FlyQuest can do. PoE and Turtle left in the back line, not able to fight anything.
Viper got a ton of damage down, but again, he's just melting with this build. He's dying so quickly, and EG are debating, do they want to go to Baron? Look at them, they're completely split on the call here. Jiizuke and Kumo are going to try to two-man this dragon while the rest go to Baron. We'll see if they can even win this fight.
Well, he does have flash if he needs it, but WildTurtle can't go anywhere. Jiizuke lands the skill shots this time around. A hit shot comes through and picks up that kill. And now it's time for PowerOfEvil to just simply run away. Ocean Drake, no problem at all. EG gonna claim that one. And on top of it, they can have their cake and eat it too. Baron grabbed right afterwards.
Damn, that feels good if you are EG. You win the team fight. You win the 2v2 for the dragon, take the dragon. Meanwhile, the rest of the homies up on the top side, taking the Baron down. They just got everything at the same time there, as we got to see that Ezreal flexing his muscle. Jiizuke is so strong right now, and Turtle didn't have summoners, didn't have ultimates, so Jiizuke hits those skill shots and makes Turtle disappear.
That's a magic trick. Thankfully, he is back. That's always what you see in the third act, is that he has reappeared on the map, but with more deaths than before.
He's cut in half.
Well, we'll see if they can... He's, you know, that sounds about right. I think he has been. We'll see if he can reattach himself later on, maybe in Game 3, but Evil Genius is still in a lot of control here, and the game looks a bit more convincing than the previous one, right? They're actually just like outright winning team fights of their own making. The backline doing very well. Jiizuke's Ezreal up to 4-3-7 with the Triforce now upgraded as well. Looks to be feeling pretty comfortable. Hurricane done for Bang. He's got a lot of damage output. PoE chunked a little bit. Not going to land that Q, but they are wave clearing. Svenskeren and Shepherd's in the mid lane, and he can walk right back over. Nice try by Bang. Doesn't land that ulti either, though. And FlyQuest able to play a little bit of defense, but very slowly these turrets are still being chunked down.
Just getting poked away at him. This Baron cannon is actually just working quite a bit of damage down on the turret. Jiizuke, anytime his W's up, he can actually step forward. That tower is just gone. The inhibitor is going to be just gone. And Svenskeren will have another wave here in mid lane very shortly. So they can actually look to just move over towards mid lane. And EG in full control, 7,000 plus gold up. Looking like they're going to get both inhibitors. Jiizuke is working on the Nexus towers.
And meanwhile, the rest of the squad is working on champions as the second inhibitor turret's going to fall. The second inhibitor going to drop here as well. Still over a minute left on the Baron buff. The question is, do they keep sieging or do they take the reset off the last minute? And right now, it's going for the Nexus. Gold in pockets, Baron in hand. First turret dropped low. FlyQuest must fight before this other turret falls. Finally, the trigger is pulled. Some knockups are found, but do they have the backline damage? So far, they do not. Viper again forced to stopwatch. Double knockout comes through for the Ornn, and Bang just simply picks up the kill yet again. Viper unable to accomplish in these team fights. Kumo looks at the knockup, doesn't quite find it, but the turret now down to half HP with less members to defend. PoE goes back to the fountain to heal back up. Now the Nexus is laid open. FlyQuest must fight. The Nexus is falling. Stopwatch used by Svenskeren, still hitting it though, without ever being killed or stopped or anything. Evil Genius has knocked down the Nexus with 5 alive and take game 2.
2 games in, 29-minute win in game 1, 27-minute win in game 2. And as you said, much more dominant. This one did not rely on any sort of Baron throw or crazy mishap. EG just felt like overall they were winning throughout the game. Their one kind of fumble really was that Rift Herald fight that they even set up better for and didn't really get that far behind off of because they were playing the map better, and the Ezreal pick really did work out. It's quite an interesting move from Jiizuke to bring this out, because it wasn't like it was to dominate in lane. It wasn't really, bullying the Azir or anything. It was just farming evenly. But Jiizuke team fought admirably down the stretch, played really well on this, and overall, EG are just now adding another champion that you have to worry about for this guy, because if he can just throw out the mid lane Ezreal, if he can bring in more marksmen to the table here too, it's another thing that's going to be in the back of your mind during champ select.
He's looking good. Very well played so far, Evil Geniuses. A 2-0 start, one Nexus away. They got 3 chances to knock down one more Nexus and make their way to the upper bracket final. We'll see if they can make that one happen. On the other side of the break, though, Dash and the analysts will look at how this 2-0 began. So we'll catch you soon after the break.
I'm Randy Diaz, mayor of Seltzer, Pennsylvania. If you love Bud Light like me, you'll love Bud Light Seltzer. It's a hard seltzer from Bud Light. It comes in 4 flavors and tastes great. Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. If you don't love Bud Light, you'll love Bud Light Seltzer. It's not Bud Light, it's hard seltzer. It comes in 4 flavors and tastes great. Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. Questions? Call us.
Welcome back to Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest, and what is now series point for Evil Geniuses. FlyQuest needing to put 3 together in a row here to claw it back and have their next shot to advance. Of course, given the new seeding or the new bracket here in the postseason, whoever is the loser of this match is still alive in the postseason. That's very important. But gentlemen, I want to talk about that Game 2 victory from Evil Geniuses, the way they crafted it. Jiizuke this time around bringing the Ezreal out in the mid lane. So double 80 carry comp with Ornn, Gragas, Nautilus support. How do we feel about EG's approach this time around?
I think the approach is fine.
Probably.
I'm going to say I'm still not super sold on the Ezreal. I understand the thought process. When you play against Azir, usually the best things to do against it is have poke or an assassin. So Ezreal fits into the poke arena, and then it also has an escape, so Jarvan ganks aren't as scary compared to if like you're playing something like a mobile, like a Varus mid we were kind of talking about. But again, the Ezreal is like, It still needs to be proven more, because if you watch that game, PowerOfEvil had pressure in the lane for like 15 minutes. So if this was maybe a stronger team than FlyQuest, that mid pressure is going to turn into a lot more objectives.
And to be fair, they also killed him a couple times. The ganks were still coming through once they were able to get his flash. So like, it feels like FlyQuest has this plan of like, Jiizuke is their main threat. We're going to target him in the early game. We're going to hold him down so he can't take over the games. And it's working, but it's just like, well, actually EG is way more competent than just Jiizuke carrying them.
Right, Kobe, the early game, quote unquote, is working to some degree for FlyQuest, but when those skirmishes start breaking out, the 2v2s all the way up to the 5v5s across the mid game, it seems like EG is the one to come out a kill or two ahead every time.
Exactly. We look at the first game where EG won, and you think, okay, what do FlyQuest have to do to improve on what they did well in the first game to win the second? And it turns out EG actually improved in that. They're the first ones to the rotation to the Rift Herald. They took away one of the big stepping stones that FlyQuest actually had in the first game that made the first game closer. And it leads to this one, which is a very worrying direction for the series to go if you're a FlyQuest fan, because EG are the ones that make the improvements. They win faster. Wow. They win the team fights more decisively. And they look like they want to keep their spot here on the winners bracket.
Look at that damage graph. 10.2, 10, 15, 10. So like, I think that speaks to Kobe's point a little bit about, you know, how all these things came together for the team. Every single member is contributing pretty large damage in those team fights. So like, doesn't matter if you kill Jiizuke early or Aphelios or what, like they're all such huge contributors in the end.
Yeah, a very pretty gold graph there. Once they were able to wrestle a lead through the mid game, a much better close for EG this time around. So, you know, more of the same for EG, I assume, as they move to the red side here in game 3 with side selection. I'll call out FlyQuest opting for blue side this time around. And big news. We got Solo coming back in. So, gentlemen, with everything on the line here for FlyQuest in the series and needing to win 3 in a row, now is when they choose to bring Solo back in yet again. What do we think about the move at this point in the series?
Feels a little late.
Yeah. I think it's a little late. I think it's the right choice.
Feels late.
To at least do something, because top lane does, like, that Ornn pick seemed too strong, because neither top laner looks like they can punish that hard still. I know they're playing better this series, but being able to pick Ornn and not get punished is like, that's amazing. If you could do that every game, everyone would pick Ornn no matter what.
Well, let's talk about it this way. What does Solo bring to the table for FlyQuest that maybe Viper didn't? What does this shift do for the squad? And if this shift itself, the pure substitution, isn't enough, what more needs to happen with Solo in the lineup to at least give us a game 4?
I think Solo, I expect a little bit more individual carry potential out of things like the GP, not necessarily all lane dominant, but he does have a lot of champs that I think he can try to bust out to punish an Ornn a little bit better if they want to leave that one up again. But I don't think that's, you know, what we're talking about, like where they're struggling. It's about their team coordination, their 5v5s in these mid to late game skirmishes, and Viper's the guy they have more practice time on. So I'm really hesitant that unless Solo is going to warp the entire game plan, that this will be enough to get them over the hump.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of it along the lines of this substitution may not introduce some new crazy strategic option for the team. Sometimes you do get value out of just changing players in the series, though, having a fresh mind come in, having him, you know, watch the first couple of games with the coaching staff. Maybe there's something there that you can get out of it.
Champion select wise, probably I'm coming back to you here because I'm refreshing my memory here on the first 2 games, but I'm seeing a lot of what are considered very signature FlyQuest picks. So again, you know, comfort, it feels like they are reaching to comfort in a lot of ways. IgNar was one of the guys we called out, though, as a big playmaker for FlyQuest, and especially at the beginning of the split, was a big, you know, a piece of their victories. We had the Rakan here in game 2, the Braum in game 1. Do you want to continue to see him on picks that trend more towards the Rakan, the engage style, or does he need to be more defensive in the face of EG winning these games so quickly?
I mean, I think FlyQuest has the benefit on blue side where EG actually doesn't have the free bans to ban that Rakan. So I think taking the Xayah Rakan, I think, is still really important. IgNar is just too good on Rakan, and he was a big part in a lot of their engages, and I think he's really comfortable with that. I would like to see more out of Turtle, though. I think he's like, I mean, these games aren't going long enough where we're getting 3-item 80 carries, but I'm still not really seeing him deal enough damage or make enough like kind of forward pressure in these 2 games. So I would like to see a bit more out of Turtle. I think IgNar, I'm happy. Keep him on the engage. I think he's doing pretty well this series so far.
Yeah, Kobe, coming back to you on EG as well. Or rather, FlyQuest. We talk a lot about FlyQuest and what they might want to change about their own style to maybe get a victory. Have we noticed anything in EG's play style that has yet to be exploited, an area of weakness or a pattern that they've maybe been showcasing us here in these final weeks of play?
I would think that FlyQuest need to attack lane phase a little bit more with more aggressive matchups. We talked about a little bit about the jungle in the opening of the day on Countdown, but maybe get some winning matchups, some aggressive lanes for Santorin to try and play off of, do more inviting, be the ones actually trying to set the tempo of the game.
Well, something's got to change for FlyQuest, and they agree, as Solo is coming in here in Game 3 to try and turn things around for that squad and bring us to a Game 4. EG, FlyQuest Game 3 coming to you after this commercial break, so stick around.
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.